අද ගෙයින්ගට ජනතාව සමග ජනතාව උදෙසා
TV1 රැස්විහිදෙන ජීවිතේ.
Good afternoon and welcome to your news on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Shehan Ranatunga. Let's first take a look at your headlines.
Mandula's analysis on debt burden. Guides and park rangers interdicted after video goes viral of SUV fleet joyriding inside Yala. Farmers concerned over the quality of free fertilizer.
Kilo 40ක් තියෙන්න ඕන කොට්ටේ තියෙන්නේ 30යි 35යි. මේගොල්ලන්ට කිලෝ එකකට කොම්පෝස්ට් කිලෝ එකකට මේ රුපියල් 60ක් ගෙවනවා මේගොල්ලන්ට.
Civil activists warn dual citizens out of all local government bodies.
රටට ආදරේ නම් තමන්ගේ ඉදේ තියෙන දිත්වරු විසයක අයින් කරගන්න බැරි කමක් නැහැ නේ මාත්‍යෝ.
Sri Lanka and Australia ready for Super 12s in T20 World Cup.
Now, Australia will be looking to bounce back from their crushing loss to New Zealand when they take on the Asia Cup champion Sri Lanka in their second Super 12 match of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in Perth on Tuesday. Now, you can watch the match live and exclusive on Citizen TV at 4:30 p.m.
Team will after what was the shakiest of shaky starts. As we all
Australia were beaten so profoundly by New Zealand in their tournament opener. Their net run rate has plummeted to a truly appalling negative 4.45. Sri Lanka, having thrashed Ireland first up, have a net run rate of 2.467. Tuesday's game is crucial for both the teams to secure their place in the Super 12 round of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Reports from Australia claim that Pathum Nissanka and Pramod Madhushan are recovering following their injuries.
Now, former Sri Lankan cricketer Sanath Jayasuriya believes that Sri Lanka has a better chance of winning the game against Australia this evening.
Australia is coming into this game after losing their first game. Sri Lanka has nothing to lose. Sri Lanka must not fear anything and must play their game. The pundits may say a lot. They should not think about it. The players must face every ball without taking on much pressure. The pressure is on the Australians this time.
Now, in some local news, the Institute of Policy Studies of Sri Lanka is hosting a seminar to coincide with the release of its annual flagship report, Sri Lanka State of the Economy 2022, focused on the theme Driving Policy Action from Crisis to Recovery. Now, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, the Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, commented on the importance of the fiscal transparency on the new tax package.
The fiscal transparency is also very important. When one see, even I paid earning 120,000 rupees a month, and I'm paying 6% of 20,000. If I know someone close to me, Dushni is not paying and avoiding taxes, why should I pay? I must be convinced that one thing is fair burden, and other one is that the strength that I am contributing. I want to see the transparency. I want to see my taxes are effectively utilized, and government is basically properly utilizing the tax money and curtailing the expenditure and reducing corruptions, all these things, and make people convinced that our tax money have been utilized properly, and that is the next principle, important one. Without that, this tax package won't sustain.
Political will and the readiness to take unpopular decisions is also essential. In the past, political considerations have often dominated the economic decisions to a significant extent, contributing to the unsustainable macroeconomic structure we find ourselves in. today. Of course, when it comes to economic management, one could not totally ignore the political economy considerations. For Sri Lanka to emerge from this crisis, it requires economic priorities to take the foremost position, even if such measures are politically unpopular in the short term.
The path of recovery, best case scenario is that after the first initial impact, we will see a further contraction for 2 years, and then real per capita income starts to recover. But if there is uncertainty in terms of when the debt restructuring talks will be concluded, the crisis is protracted, then that dip in real per capita can continue for up to 5 years before it starts reversing.
Sri Lankan Minister Bandulu Gunawardena said that Sri Lanka's economic growth had never recorded a negative index post-independence until the economic crisis hit the country. Now, the Minister Bandulu Gunawardena said that Sri Lanka does not have any expert with the required intellect and skills to solve the crisis that has been brewing for 62 years. He said that Sri Lanka's debt status currently depends on heavyweight financial services company Lazard. He added that Sri Lanka cannot access loans internationally for any project until the debt crisis is solved. The minister said that the governments have obtained loans to repay previously obtained loans. However, the result of overdoing it led to crisis in the country. Let's now have a look at the Newsfirst cartoon of the day. Now, a partial solar eclipse will be visible over Sri Lanka at sunset on Tuesday. However, with the prevailing weather conditions, some of you might not be able to witness it.
The Astronomy and Space Science Unit of the Colombo University said a partial solar eclipse will be visible over the skies of Jaffna at around 5:27 p.m. today. Head of the department, Professor Chandana Jayaratna, says the partial solar eclipse will be visible over Jaffna for close to 22 minutes. According to Professor Chandana Jayaratna, the partial solar eclipse will be visible over Colombo at 5:43 p.m. This is the second partial solar eclipse of 2022. It is visible from most of Europe, Northern Africa and Middle East and western parts of Asia. On Tuesday, the 25th of October, the moon will pass in front of the sun in the last solar eclipse of 2022, in an event that could be visible to millions of sky watchers lucky enough to be in the visibility path. Warning: looking directly into the sun can lead to blindness and other forms of permanent eye damage if you aren't wearing proper eye protection. Always be sure to use proper equipment when observing the sun or a solar eclipse.
Now, the guides who accompanied a group in a fleet of vehicles who operated recklessly inside the Yala National Park and the park rangers who failed to control the situation have been interdicted. In a development to the story, individuals and vehicles involved in reckless joyriding inside the Yala National Park have been blacklisted and cannot enter any national park in Sri Lanka for 3 years.
Videos of a fleet of vehicles entering the Yala National Park and doing donuts inside the park premises, harassing the wildlife, went viral on social media, attracting widespread condemnation from netizens. Sri Lanka's Ministry of Agriculture in a statement said that Minister Mahinda Amaravira had instructed to immediately take action against those involved in the incident. In addition, the minister had requested the Inspector General of Police to arrest them irrespective of their status and position. The minister added that steps will be taken to blacklist such individuals and vehicles from entering the Yala National Park. On Monday, the Department of Wildlife said that strict legal action will be taken against individuals who cause harm or harass the wildlife inside the Yala National Park.
Now, up next is Crime Watch.
Crime Watch.
A body was discovered buried in the garden behind a house in Pusvellagama in Melseripura on Monday, and the magisterial inquiry will take place today. Sri Lanka police said that a missing persons report was filed several days ago and the body belongs to the person who was missing. Sri Lanka police added that a servant who was employed by the deceased had committed suicide on Sunday afternoon. Thereafter, Sri Lanka police and detectives had searched the house and the property and discovered the remains of 72-year-old Chitrananda Jayaratna buried in the garden.
Crime Watch.
A group of estate workers had discovered a body that was floating in the Keselgamua Oya on Tuesday morning. Locals said that the body of a male aged about 60 years was seen in the Bhagawan Palava town. The Bhagawan Palava police is conducting further investigations.
Crime Watch.
Now in other news, the Vishwa Mitra Foundation says dual citizens in government is the root cause for the destruction caused to Sri Lanka. Convening a media briefing in Anuradhapura, the movement stressed that anyone with a dual citizenship should not be allowed to even contest the local government polls. The movement said that because dual citizens are loyal to another nation, they would not think twice of deceiving Sri Lankans. In other news, the farmers in Mathura say the organic fertilizer provided for the Maha season is substandard.
The Western Farmers Association of Tihagoda in Mathura and Lower Watiala Western Farmers Association say the bags that contain the organic fertilizer are not in standard weight, while noting that the stocks of fertilizer are also substandard. The farmers also said that the liquid fertilizer provided during the previous season was substandard. Although the organic fertilizer bags that are provided free of charge by the government to the farmers, they said that the government spends 60 rupees per bag.
Now Monday marked 21 days since the 6th edition of the Gammadda Door-to-Door initiative began. Now Gammadda teams walked the length and breadth of Sri Lankan country to identify the perennial issues of rural Sri Lanka. The program is joined by researchers from the University of Peradeniya.
The Gammadda Door-to-Door team today visited the people in Monoragala, Kegol and Badulla districts. Our team touring the Monoragala district travelled across the Vijitapura village that falls under the Siambalanduwa Divisional Secretariat. The main issue faced by these villagers is the lack of clean drinking water. The plight of the people here is such that getting a drop of water to quench their thirst at times is all but impossible. They also do not have a proper road that leads into the village. Our Gammadda team in Badulla toured the villages in Vatabadda that falls under the Valimada Divisional Secretariat. The livelihoods of a majority of the people in this area is vegetable cultivation. They are among some of the communities who were worst hit by the fertilizer crisis. The rise in fertilizer prices and the shortage of fertilizer has thrown the lives of these people into a deep crisis.
Two men aged 24 had died after drowning inside a well in Point Pedro.
Sri Lanka police said that 6 young men were consuming alcohol next to a well in Vallipuram in Point Pedro on Monday evening. Police said thereafter one person had fallen into the well and another jumped in to rescue him. Unfortunately, both the men drowned inside the well.
The Centre for Environmental Justice visited Ridhi Maliyadda on Monday to inquire into reports of an attempt to allocate lands for various companies in Uva Valassa for sugarcane cultivation.
Maize is cultivated in around 500 acres of land in Denigama, Akeyankumbura, attached to the Ridhi Maliyadda Divisional Secretariat in Mahiyangane, Badulla. The area residents allege plans are afoot to sell the lands to multinational companies for sugarcane cultivation.
Tuesday.
Rishi Sunak to meet King Charles on Tuesday morning before taking over street. She will then go to Buckingham Palace for an audience with King. Afterwards, Sunak will go and meet the King, where he will be asked to form a government. The new Prime Minister will then give a speech outside Number 10. Sunak will confront the gravest economic crisis in Britain in a generation, and he will do so at the helm of a badly fractured Conservative Party. Now he will become Britain's 3rd Prime Minister in 7 weeks, the youngest in 2 centuries, and the first person of the Hindu faith to achieve its highest elected office. A former investment banker whose wife is the daughter of an Indian technology billionaire, Sunak will also be one of the wealthiest people over to occupy 10 Downing Street, something that could prove a vulnerability at a time when Britons are struggling to pay soaring gas bills. The Times of London this year estimated the couple's worth at more than $800 million, placing them among 250 wealthiest British people or families.
A prominent Pakistani journalist was shot dead in Kenya, sparking protests in Karachi.
An investigation has begun in Kenya after well-known Pakistani journalist Arshad Sharif was shot dead by police at a roadblock on Sunday. He was fatally wounded while he was a passenger in a moving vehicle after it failed to stop, according to a police statement. Sharif was a critic of Pakistan's military as well as a vocal supporter of ousted Prime Minister Imran Khan. The 49-year-old had left Pakistan in August after complaining of harassment. He had previously been in the United Kingdom and Dubai before travelling to Kenya. It is not known exactly what he was doing in the Eastern African country. Journalists in the Pakistani city of Karachi held a street protest over his killing on Monday.
And that's a wrap of the news from the news team for now. Thank you for watching.
ඇත්ත කෙටියෙන් දත්ත වැඩියෙන් සයිබර් අවකාශයේ කලබන වුවත් සලකුණ News First YouTube channel අදම subscribe කරන්න. News First ජනතාව සමග